one of the most awaited. I'm Lochna Sharma. I'm a research associate, and on behalf of Election Commission of India and India International Institute for Democracy and Election Management, I welcome you all to the International Conference of 2026. So let me brief you about India's chairship very quickly, because I'm sure you would have had an idea by now. India, led by our Honorable Chief Election Commissioner, has assumed the chairship of the Council of Member States of International IDEA for the year 2026 with IIIDEM as its nodal agency. India's overarching theme is democracy for an inclusive, peaceful, resilient and sustainable world. The entire chairship will be divided into two, nevertheless interconnected into two thematic pillars. First one of which is reimagining democracy for the future, and the second is independent and professional EMBs for sustainable democracy. The chairship will be under two thematic pillars, and under this we have identified for about 43 interconnected thematic areas, 7 of which will be culminated into global roadmaps, knowledge toolkits, policy briefs. 11 would be in the form of model international electoral standards, one of its kind. And 25 of these will be global best practices and innovation in electoral processes. About the international conference, I'll keep it short because we are all living it, we are all experiencing it, and it is an amalgamation of bringing election practitioners, academicians, thinkers, doers together to be able to produce something that has never been produced before, which is just knowledge and sharing of experiences in election management. About the session, maintaining law and order. So this session seeks to examine maintaining law and order during campaigns to ensure peaceful and fair political participation. It emphasizes impartial security arrangements, advanced planning, coordinated institutional action, and election-specific training. Through incident reporting, stakeholder management, independent oversight, security forces, we can manage risks while also upholding neutrality, respecting the rights of the citizens by ensuring safe and democratic campaign conducts. May I now introduce our moderator, Shri Navdeep Rindwa, the Chief Electoral Officer of Uttar Pradesh, to kindly come up on the dais. Welcome, sir. Just a minute, I'm so sorry. May I now call upon Professor Sanjay Gupta from Lucknow University. May I now call upon Advocate Avinash Singh from Chief Electoral Officer of Uttar Pradesh. May I now call upon Mr. Shatrughan Kar, National Level Master Trainer from the Election Commission of India. I have the honor of welcoming Ms. Arvik to the stage, who is the advisor to the CC chairperson from Armenia. Thank you, sir. May I now request you to lead the session.
Very good evening to everybody. So this session, we have presentations about 5 presentations from the speakers from the panel, and then we have about 20 minutes or so for question answers and general discussion. So I'll begin. The first presentation would be from my side, CEO Uttar Pradesh, and then we would have other presentations. So the mandate of this group on this thematic topic is maintaining law and order. We begin today in this session, and then over a period of some months we would be studying the uh, topic in various contexts in different countries, how what innovations, how technology is being used to conduct elections in a peaceful manner and by maintaining law and order, controlling violence during elections. So I'll start my presentation. Can I go there? I think I'll have to move there. I have to press enter too. Okay, right, thank you. So maintaining law and order is one of the key ingredients uh, maintaining the integrity of the elections, and to ensure that the political competition is free of violence, free of fear, and this ensures that the use of muscle power is reduced to a minimum, and there is an equitable space for all the political actors. So as far as maintaining law and order during elections is concerned, we need to have a strong legal and institutional framework, non-partisan professional police, and a system of having risk assessment and early warning systems, measures for voter protection and providing safe access to the voters, having a very effective communication system and public information machinery. It requires observers' presence and also means to have post-elections management of the conflicts. So we need this law and order for candidates, for political parties, in order to provide a very safe environment for political parties and candidates to campaign freely. And for polling personnel, it ensures their security and also that of the material through effective force deployment. And for electors, it ensures a conducive environment so that they are free from fear, from inducement. And these are the key stakeholders, the political parties, the voters, candidates, media. In context of India, we have Election Commission of India. Then in each state we have chief electoral officers heading the election machinery within the state. We have the Central Ministry of Home Affairs, the Federal Ministry of Home Affairs. Then we have national and state level force coordinators. For each state we have a state police nodal officer. Then Department of Home in the state is also involved. Central Armed Police Forces are there. District Election Officer, who is basically district magistrate in India, is the ex-officio district election officer, as well as the officer heading the police in the district, a superintendent of police or a commissioner of police, and the state police machinery as a whole. All these are the key stakeholders as far as maintenance of law and order during elections is concerned. Now the key challenges are, we have seen in past in our country there was prevalence of muscle power, which has now been a thing of the past. Parties, such practices undermined free and fair elections, mainly by intimidation of voters. People from vulnerable sections, they need to be protected from all kinds of threats so that they can go and vote freely as per their will. Then political polarization is a challenge. More the polarization, more the chances of violence and intimidation and threats. So it intensifies competition, electoral competitions, and it heightens the risk of conflict, misinformation. Then there is a new challenge which has emerged in recent years, that is misinformation and disinformation. Now, use of social media has become very prevalent. It is easy to create narratives, false narratives, and which also leads to a situation where violence is generated or instigated through spreading misinformation and disinformation. So this distorts the electoral environment, and it tries to undermine the voter trust by creative narratives like there is some conspiracy in, say, in electoral system or voting machine or counting. So that is a challenge in order to maintain law and order, in order to have a peaceful environment. We have to counter misinformation and disinformation. Then logistics, scale and resource constraint is also a challenge. For example, in India, we have a vast electoral footprint spanning remote areas. We have a very varied topography, deserts, islands, very remote areas, forested areas, we have mountains. So we have to have the presence of the machinery in all remotest areas so that even voters in those areas feel that the machinery is there and they need not fear from the parties which they don't support. And the volume of voters, that is also a challenge. In India, as we have seen, about billion voters. So in case of my state, Uttar Pradesh, we have a population of more than 250 million, and the voter list right now is more than 125 million. So that also is a challenge. And also multi-phase scheduling. In India, for example, in last parliamentary elections which were held in 2024, the election was held in 7 separate phases. So each phase, the gap between 2 phases was about 3 to 4 days, and that was required in order to shift the police and paramilitary forces from one area to the other. So the resource constraint in our case was handled through spreading the election in different phases. Crowd management, there are large rallies, sometimes maybe people up to 100,000 could be crowded in a small place. So those rallies and events, there are road shows, rallies, motorcycle rallies. So managing crowds during those times is also a big challenge. And if not handled properly, it can quickly escalate into ugly situations. So that is also one of the areas, very important challenging area during elections. And last is the post-election pressure. So we manage it through, just after the results are announced, there are victory rallies and sometimes which lead to violence. So that is managed by taking care of rallies, victory rallies, post-election results, giving security to the winning candidates and ensuring that the supporters of, if the political polarization is too much, post-election pressure, handling post-election scenario is also a big challenge. Now, these are some of the key activities identified which are required to maintain law and order. Preventing law and order actions, taking preventive action. So before any event, we identify people who could create trouble during elections, and bounding them under our criminal laws. There is facility to bound people before any crime is committed. Ban on sale of liquor on poll day, counting day, ban on carrying of armed licenses, seizure of unlicensed arms and ammunition during the campaign period, deposit of licensed arms. So there is a general order, and people who have licensed arms are required to deposit their arms during the period of campaign period and up till the results are announced. Imposing scrutiny on SMS services and social media platforms. We keep on an eye on what is being posted, and then there are a lot of false narratives. The challenge is to counter that in the shortest possible time before it becomes viral and leads to an law and order situation. So that is the new and very difficult challenge that has now come up. Action to be taken for electoral offences. In our Representation of People Act 1951, which deals with the conduct of elections, there are certain electoral offences, and during election time FIRs are registered and action is taken. Deployment of central and state forces, ensuring availability of basic amenities for the forces when they move to a province where the election is being held. A large number of central forces come, taking care of their needs where they stay, and all. Is also a big area where we have to work. Area domination by forces before poll. So we have flag marches, identified areas. The show of strength by the forces is done before the election so that miscreants are discouraged. Identification of vulnerable and critical polling stations based on past elections, incidents of violence, booth capturing, or any other incident in last elections, and also the voter profile in terms of if a particular party is very highly supported in certain area and they get more than say 75% of votes, those polling stations are identified beforehand. And also the recent past, if there has been any tension, social tension, any caste based or communal tensions, based on those points the areas are identified, polling stations are identified. Then execution of the transportation and communication plan. So all these issues have to be addressed well in time, planned well in time, and then execution to be done on all these areas. So we have a model code of conduct for the political parties as well as the candidates, so that the environment during the elections is kept healthy and competitive. To ensure voter confidence, the security arrangements are assured. They assure fair-free voting. And then to reduce violence, we have the preventive deployment, as I said, based on the need or based on the criticality or vulnerability of the area. And the approach is to prevent any mishappening rather than reacting later after the incidents have happened. And to ensure the inclusiveness of the elections, participation of the women, the vulnerable groups, persons with disabilities, persons from the vulnerable communities, first-time voters. And to secure polling and counting centers, there are layered safeguards. In case of India, we have the first tier of the central paramilitary forces, then the armed police, and then the civil police. So these are the measures that we take. Contribution of adjoining states. So as we know, we have 28 states and 8 union territories. So whenever elections are being held in a state, the neighboring states, we have a lot of coordination, and coordination is required on multiple accounts. Not only the neighboring states provide armed police, home guards, there is intelligence sharing, and also the movement of people as well as material, liquor, arms, all these are being monitored. We have checkposts on all the roads connecting the states, which are covered with close CCTV cameras, and they are manned 24/7, 3-4 days before the elections. So all these, there is under Election Commission of India, the chief secretaries and directors generals of police, they have a meeting. So the state which is going to the polls, whatever support they require, the neighboring states help in conducting elections peacefully in that state. So in pre-poll activities, we have area domination activities, as I mentioned earlier, which flag march, point patrolling, and people go to hamlets of vulnerable groups and ask whether they need any protection or they have any apprehension. So all these activities go before the actual day of the polling, and these operations continue till 2 days before the polling. And then at checkposts we have additional deployment to prevent illegal movement. So cash, liquor, drugs, all these are monitored and reported regularly, daily, right from the police station level to the district level to the state. And when there are general elections in the country, the state report goes to the commission every day. So unaccounted election material, because we have election finance laws, there are limits of expenditure imposed for each candidate during assembly elections as well as the general parliament, and whatever expenditure a candidate incurs, all the record is kept. So whatever is non-accounted is then seized and a report is made. Security is provided to the candidates by commissioners of police, SSP, SP of the area immediately after filing nominations, and this is based on threat assessment depending upon the candidate, the past history of the candidate, the past history of that area, that constituency. All these is taken into account, and based on that security is provided to the candidates. Then there are campaigning activities like meetings, processions, rallies. All those are videographed, and the observers go to these campaign activities and observe whether the model code of conduct is being followed, whether the expenditure that is being incurred has been reported or taken into account or not, whether the speeches that are being made, are they violating any of the election law or general law. So all these activities are monitored by observers, and they are videographed and recorded for posterity. Then for police, adequate police deployment is done for these rallies, street meetings, and in order to ensure that during the election time, it is mandated that each rally or procession permission would be required from the returning officer, so that the returning officer knows in advance about any activity to take place, and accordingly the police proper security arrangements are made. So for pre-poll, making the pre-poll environment conducive for peaceful elections, various confidence building measures are taken, guarding vulnerable locations, area domination, point patrolling, and central armed police forces are deployed at critical polling booths. So in case of our country, in India, we have normally the central armed police forces stationed at the polling stations or booths, and the armed police of the state and civil police looks after the area outside the polling stations. And then preventive law and order measures are taken to ensure the model code of conduct. Webcasting, videography is done. For each polling station, we have a camera which records the polling procedure for the whole day, and it is webcasted, and a record is kept till the period for which any candidate can file an election petition is over. All these records are kept. Monitoring of social media, and so all these measures are done. Now these are the areas where election management bodies may explore opportunities as far as India is concerned. As I mentioned, the live streaming of key polling activities such as mock poll, commencement of voting, sealing of machines, counting. It enhances not only it enhances transparency, it helps in real-time monitoring and increases the public confidence in the integrity of the electoral process. Then we have electronic voting machines which are there for in the conference for to see, and we have kept sessions for all the foreign delegates. So these are our secure tamper-proof EVMs. We have been conducting elections using these machines for past many years now, and they have proved their effectiveness in managing large-scale elections efficiently. It is uh, about in last Lok Sabha elections, the counting of more than say 60 crore or 600 million votes took place in just 6-7 hours. So the counting starts at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and the latest results are out by 2 or 3 p.m. And there are no, in last elections also, there was no, even if the result differed, the difference between the winning and losing candidate was 2 votes or 3 votes, there was no issue because of the introduction of electronic voting machines, because there is no error. Even if you recount it again, you'll get the same result, which was not there in case of ballot papers. And then legal provisions have been put in place to curb misinformation. We have the Information Technology Act, which has certain sections which provide the legal backing to take action against misinformation. For example, in case of Uttar Pradesh in last Lok Sabha elections, many posts which were false were taken down, and under legal provisions, the X platform was asked to remove the posts as well as to block the account. So we have the legal backing to take all these action which these digital intermediaries require for any post to be taken or for any account to be blocked. And then there is strategic deployment of security forces which require advanced planning. We have about 8 central armed police forces, border security force, Indo-Tibetan border police, central industrial security force, national security guards, Assam rifles. So there are about 8 central forces. All these forces are utilized during elections, not only the parliament elections but also the provincial elections. Then we have reserve police in each state. In case of Uttar Pradesh, it is called Provincial Armed Constabulary, PAC. Then we have the civil police. So all these resources are utilized. And then area-specific and intelligence-led security arrangements are made to ensure peaceful polling and voter safety, especially in sensitive regions. So I have tried to cover the idea, the topic in the various facets that we need to keep in mind while studying or understanding this particular aspect of elections. And I've also tried to give a glimpse of which areas where India may be helpful in passing on the innovations or the good experiences that we have had or successful initiatives that we had taken. Thank you very much. That was all from my side. Thank you.
colleagues. Thank you for this exceptional opportunity of sharing Armenia's good experience with you. Today, I would like to speak about electoral technologies in Armenia and how their development has contributed to strengthening electoral integrity, transparency, and public trust in the democratic processes. In particular, I will focus on several key areas such as voter identification through authentication devices, improved voter lists with minimal inaccuracies, the proportional electoral system, and the role of trained members of electoral professionals under the coordination of the Central Electoral Commission, which works collaboratively with all stakeholders involved in the electoral processes. Central Electoral Commission of the Republic of Armenia is a state independent body. The chairperson and 6 members are elected by the parliament for 6 years, and they organize local elections, the elections of National Assembly and referenda, and as well as they exercise supervision over the lawfulness of those elections. We have a proportional system for the National Assembly and most of the local elections. And also we have a majoritarian system for some of the local elections. Only several communities have a majoritarian system. Technologies really matter for each of us. Elections are the foundation of any democratic society. They are not merely a procedural requirement, but a mechanism through which citizens can express their political will. However, for elections to be credible, they must be transparent, inclusive, accurate, and what is the most important, trusted by the voters or the citizens. Modern electoral technologies play a crucial role in achieving these goals. Yes, they increase transparency and trust, accuracy and efficiency, they prevent fraud and human error, and enhance voter confidence. What concerns the electoral system, we have 3-level system, that is Central Electoral Commission, Territorial Electoral Commissions, and Precinct Electoral Commission. Until 2007, the automation of electoral processes was done only at the level of CEC. But after that, in 2007, a permanent local network was established between the CEC and territorial electoral commissions. And in 2017, electronic voter authentication system was launched. Voters' identification in the polling stations is done electronically, and in every polling station you can find a video camera which live streams all the process that's going on in a polling stations, and anyone can follow the processes that's going on in the polling stations, not only voting but also counting until the end of the electoral process in the polling station. Steps that are taken. Central Electoral Commission is not working alone. It is collaboratively works with other stakeholders. For example, for parties and citizens, we have an online system for professional training courses on conducting elections. Parties and citizens can submit a list of people who can get those professional training. Parties and party alliances also can submit candidates for the members of the precinct electoral commissions. Another system allows parties and party alliances to submit their electoral lists. We work also collaboratively with non-governmental organizations, both the local ones and international ones. We also work with mass media. We register them for observing the elections. And after registering them, we give them QR codes, and those QR codes are on the certificates that they use on the day of voting. Citizens also can have their available polling stations, because those who have some disabilities, they can change their place of voting and vote in another polling station which is mostly available for them. We also work with organizations. We can submit information about outdoor billboards, and Central Electoral Commission distributes these billboards, outdoor billboards, and those billboards are for the campaign. Also, we have another system through which territorial electoral commissions can live cast their sessions. Has submitted before. It doesn't open. It's a video. No, it's not working. Sorry? Can we check it here? This black area was a video which is not shown here, but this is about the voter identification authentication device, which are used in every polling stations to verify the identity of voters before they cast their ballots. These devices typically scan identification documents and record the voters' participation electronically. The primary purpose of this system is to prevent multiple voting, impersonation, and other forms of electoral fraud. The introduction of voter authentication devices has significantly increased confidence in voting process human error and intentional manipulation. Importantly, these devices do not record a person's votes, but only confirm the fact of participation, thereby preserving the secrecy of ballot, which is a core democratic principle. Doesn't work it still? I will do it at the end. Thank you. From a broader perspective, voter authentication technologies also modernize the electoral process. They demonstrate that Armenia is willing to adopt innovative solutions to address long-standing challenges in election administration while still respecting legal safeguards and personal data protection. The second critical element I would emphasize is the quality of voter lists. Accurate voter lists are the backbone of fair elections. Inaccurate lists containing deceased persons, duplicate entries, or incorrect addresses can undermine trust and open the door to manipulation. In Armenia, significant efforts have been made to reduce inaccuracies in voter lists through regular updates, cross-checking with civil registries, and the integration of digital database. It was shown here. In the blue area, you see the registered population, and CEC gets the information from that register. Yeah, thank you. You can follow how the devices work. It's about the identification documents. And the whole process is shown here. You can follow, and I can continue my speech. During elections of the National Assembly and local elections held with proportional system, members of precinct electoral commissions may be included in the electoral precinct lists of electors of the electoral precinct, where they are appointed as members of precinct electoral commission by being temporarily removed from the list of electors by place of registration. As a result, voter lists today are far more reliable than in the past. Citizens have the opportunity to verify their information in advance, request corrections, and ensure that their data is accurate before election day. This transparency reduces disputes, prevents confusion at polling stations, and enhances overall confidence in the electoral process. Moreover, improved voter lists benefit not only voters but also election administrations and observers. When lists are accurate, polling stations function more smoothly, waiting times are reduced, and election officials can focus on their duties rather than resolving avoidable technical issues. Vote counting, transparent tabulation, and and clear reporting mechanism. Electoral technologies help manage their complexity by enabling accurate aggregation of results and reducing the risk of calculation errors. You can see at this, oh, the screen doesn't work? Oh, thank you. You can see at the screen mapping after tabulation, which is done synchronically. In Armenia, the use of proportional lists encourages political pluralism and inclusiveness. It also places a high responsibility on electoral institutions to ensure that the entire process from ballot design to result publication is clear, verifiable, and understandable to the public. Another crucial pillar of Armenia's electoral system is the role of specialized and well-trained election officials. Elections are not conducted by technology alone. Behind every device, voter lists, and ballot box, there are people who ensure that procedures are followed correctly. In Armenia, members of election commissions receive specialized training organized by the Central Electoral Commission, or CEC. This training covers legal frameworks, ethical standards, technical procedures, and the use of electoral technologies. Well-trained commission members are better prepared to handle unexpected situations, resolve disputes impartially, and assist voters professionally. The importance of this training cannot be overstated. Even the most advanced technology can fail if it is not used correctly. Conversely, trained and knowledgeable staff can ensure that technologies serve their intended purpose and reinforce rather than weaken electoral integrity. This leads me to my final point, the Central Electoral Commission's collaborative approach. The CEC in Armenia does not operate in isolation. It collaborates with political parties, civil society organizations, domestic and international observers, media representatives, and technology providers. This inclusive approach helps build trust and ensures that electoral reforms and technologies are introduced through dialogue rather than unilateral decisions. By engaging all actors in the process, the CEC promotes transparency and accountability. Observers can monitor how technologies are used. Political parties can raise concerns or suggestions, and voters can feel that the system is not imposed on them, but developed with their interests in mind. Elections are not just about choosing governments and powers. They are about legitimacy, participation, and confidence in democratic institutions. By investing in modern technologies and human capacity, Armenia is taking important steps toward more credible, inclusive elections. Now I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.
Next we have a presentation from Professor Sanjay Gupta ji. So I invite you to please show your presentation.
A very pleasant good evening to everyone, to all the distinguished audience present here. My sincere regards to Shri Ranveer Shri Randeep Rinwa Saab, the Chief Electoral Officer of Uttar Pradesh, and his able team assisted by Shri Akhand Pratap Singh and Shri Amit Singh, for giving me this opportunity to be here and to represent my state Uttar Pradesh as well as my very own university, Lucknow University. I'm a small student of political science, and currently I'm working in the Department of Political Science, International Relations. This is a very important occasion for me today. I have been attending this session since yesterday when the conference began yesterday, and I will be here till tomorrow. It is a very enriching experience for me to be here, and for this I once again thank the honorable organizers of this great international conference as well as my own very election officials of Uttar Pradesh. When we talk about law and order during elections, whether it is related to UP or whether it is related to the whole country, I remember a very important scholar, John Locke of England, who in his very celebrated book once said, he writes there in that book, where there is no law, there is anarchy. And another very important scholar of England, Thomas Hobbes, Leviathan, he is an author of Leviathan. He says that covenants without swords are but words and of no use to secure the desired ends. If you take these two statements together, we get the idea that behind the successful accomplishment of any goal, whether it is related to our personal life or to the life of the nation, the law and order is very, very important. And as we all know it very well, that discipline is the life of the nation. Discipline is the hallmark of our own personal life. And discipline comes only on the basis of a robust law and order maintenance. When we look at the amazing figures of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, we see that election, Lok Sabha election, was indeed a stupendous election in many ways. That election was one in which the largest congregation of Indian voters was witnessed. It was very much close to almost 1 billion people, that is around 98 crore peoples. The largest ever gathering of the voters that ever took place in the history of mankind. Again, there was the largest voter turnout on the part of the male voters as well as the female voters. Out of 98 crore people, around 64.64 crore people actually took part in the voting, in which around 31 crore women voters were there and around 33 crore male voters were there. It was also an election that witnessed the largest ever turnout of the third genders as well, around 15,000. They were recognized. They were given due importance of their dignity. The Indian government, headed by the Honorable Shri Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he has taken several steps to highlight the role and contribution of the depressed sections to this country, and therefore we saw that more than 15,000 third genders participated. Around 1,15,000 NRIs also voted, much more than the previous elections. This is the increasing confidence of the voters in the purity of the Indian elections, in the sanctity of the Indian elections. These Indian elections again witnessed the largest ever turnout of people with disabilities. In short, we call it as PWDs. Around 92 lakh disabled persons participated in the election. Now these figures, they convey a message to us. Why should the people be turning out in such huge numbers to participate in an election? if there was no credibility with the elections, if there was no reliability or trust among the people in the managers or the handlers of the Indian elections that is headed by the Honorable Election Commission of India and very ably assisted by the apex judiciary of the country, Honorable Supreme Court and various high courts functioning under the Supreme Court. This shows that the law and order is working behind the scene. Many a times we are unable to notice the great contribution that is given by our security personnel. There are host of laws, rules, enactments, norms governing the Indian elections. And all those laws, they come under the Election Commission of India from Article 324 to 320, from Article 324 to 329, under Part 15 of the Constitution, under the IPC, that is the Indian Penal Code, and the CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code, although now their names have been changed, Bharati Nyaya Sanghita and Bharati Apradhik Sanghita. There are a host of laws that govern today the conduct of Indian elections, and the Election Commission of India, ever since the inception of freedom in this country, it has hosted around 18 Lok Sabha elections, more than 400 assembly elections, and number of presidential elections. And all those elections, if they are seen in context with the SAARC countries, SAARC, that is the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, which consists of 8 countries, we can see where India stands in today's time with regard to the elections. If we look at our very own neighbors, whether it is our next door neighbor, which has been hogging the limelight, that is Bangladesh. If we look at another neighboring country of ours, that is Pakistan. If we look downwards at Sri Lanka, if we look at our very next door country, Nepal, we can see what is happening there in terms of governance. There is no, sir. I am just highlighting, sir, the major one, sir, where I would like to emphasize what is happening, sir. That is the role of the Central Armed Police Forces. I'm just coming to that point, sir. Oh my God. It's not coming here at the moment. I don't know what has happened. That the role of the, or I am skipping it, because in our, sir. Now, when we talk about the law and order maintenance, sir has already pointed out about the CAPF, that is Central Armed Police Forces. Now this is the mainstay of Indian elections. There are around 7 Central Armed Police formations, and those are Assam Rifles, the BSF, the CISF, the CRPF, the SSB, that is the Seema Sashastra Bal, and the ITBP. Now all these organizations, starting with the Assam Rifles, it was raised somewhere. So these long borders, they are being guarded by these CPAFs. And particularly these CPAFs, they have the role in the left wing extremist regions. They are the Chhattisgarh, Orissa, and various other things. Normal circumstances, normal peace times. The CPAFs and the SAPs, that is the State Armed Police Forces, they have a special role to play in the disturbed regions, and that's why we see there is a large turnout of the voters from these elections or from these regions also. The various technologies that are being used. Yes, sir. Only 2 minutes, sir. Sir, I'm just trying to highlight, sir, what you have already said, just an add-on to that thing, sir. So, for example, the drones. For example, the drone technology is being used. The helicopters are being used. Then there is a surveillance. There is satellite surveillancing also. Satellite imageries are also being used to conduct the elections. There is the use of area domination, flag marches, vulnerable mapping, critical police stations are there. There are several other mechanisms by which these armed forces, they are doing their jobs. Similarly, the state armed police forces, they are also very much performing their jobs with regard to the smooth functioning of the elections. And therefore, we can see that there is a huge turnout of voters year after each, after every 5 year, periods. So in all, I can say that a lot is happening in the Indian scenario so far as the elections are being, so far as the elections are concerned. And I think that with the next, in the coming year, whether it is through the Election Commission of India, whether it is the Law Commission of India, or whether there are other parliamentary bodies where the Indian elections are being discussed in the parliament, or our political leaders or the voters, I mean, they themselves are very active today. The voters are very proactive. They are giving their own suggestions. They are sending their suggestions to the government. And with all these words, sir, I thank you once again. Thanks a lot.
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. So now I would request Shri Satrugna Karji, the national level master trainer of Election of Commission of India, to start his presentation, please. So we have to wrap up the session by say 5:50. So
yes, sir.
We have about 10 minutes, 10 to
Yes, sir,
11
thank you.
minutes, 10 to 12 minutes.
So we'll try to keep time, sir, being in the last lap of this session. Thank you, CEO sir, the team from Lochna, ACI and IIIDEM for giving me this opportunity to interact with this esteemed panel. I must congratulate our friends and guests from Armenia and the Central Electoral Commission and Honorable Ambassador Armenia also, and ladies and gentlemen. I saw Professor Saab rushing through the topic actually. Law and order is such a vast topic, it cannot be curtailed in a span of say 40-45 minutes. So that's why we are trying to keep time. And without the law and order actually elections cannot happen. The essential, if one essential thing is there for conducive elections, and having the free and fairness of elections, and having the electoral trust, that is the law and order. So that's why in the entire theme of elections, law and order matters. Next slide please. Since we see that peaceful elections are fundamental to ensuring democratic legitimacy and public trust. Earlier what we have seen in the Indian context, if we go back to the 90s, we see that there are ample incidents. Basically, I will be delving on some case studies because already both you and Professor Sahib had gone to detailing of these procedures.
You can cover those areas.
Yes, what we have left, and being a practitioner, I was there in for last 20 years in the field, and the last lap of my career, I was in the Chief Electoral Office as the additional Chief Electoral Officer, and then with the Election Commission as the national level master trainer. So recently I have been to Poland actually at the behest of the Election Commission of India, leading the team to also see their electoral practices, best practices, and we exchange the ideas among these two EMVs, what is best with them and what is the best with us. Here when we are talking to in the Indian context, the challenges are actually the enormity of population. So all of you have seen in the morning session when Honorable CC sir was narrating, it is 1 billion voters in a country like India. So I will be just talking on 2-3 case studies from my state, that is Odisha, from which I belong, and our team lead CEO Uttar Pradesh, and Professor sir was telling about the LW thing, that is the Chhattisgarh state where one constituency named Bastar is there. It is affected by the left-wing extremisms. So for maintenance of law and order, these things are to be taken care of. In this slide, actually, I had wished to give the constitutional mandate and the legal framework. It is not only by narratives that we are going. We are in the ECI, the Election Commission of India is strongly supported by the constitutional mandate. The reservoir of power comes from the Indian Constitution, Article 324, where the superintendent's direction and control of preparation of electoral roll and the conduct of elections are vested with the Election Commission of India. So in a single term we say that it is one of the strongest and independent EMBs in the world and exercising its power. I was narrating the story of Punjab. Sir, in during 90s, when the violence was there because of the cross-border things and others, so the election was to be deferred. When the legendary election commission, Mr. Session, was there, so he had to defer the elections for first 3 months and then 3 months. It was 6 months deferred under the consultation of the government of India also. The election could not happen because the law and order situation was so bad at that time in the state of Punjab. So that is one glaring example. So that's why we need to have the law and order in place. It is not only for India, it is a global scenario. So that's why the theme is so important. In the context setting, we have been told that law and order is there to be maintained during the campaign period only. The campaign period is only 14-15 days, right? But that the law and order is the context of law and order begins much before that. So before any conduct of elections, what is the standard protocol adopted in India? That Honorable Commission also visits the state to see the preparedness, the state of affairs in the state, whether it is ready to go for the poll or not. So by the consultation also, Honorable Commission interacts with different bodies and perceive actually whether the state is in right condition to go for polls. Law and order feedback and everything starts. So vulnerability mapping, we do see that which are the areas we are prone or vulnerable to such type of intimidation, where the electors are afraid of coming to the polling station for voting. So a much deeper exercise is done before the actual polls. 2-3 months before the entire ground is set. In these elections we have seen there minimum 20 enforcing agencies are there. Every time they go for exercising, they are like income tax department, that is the ED, enforcement directorate, all are they having the powers of seizure, having the maintaining the law and order to just check the flow of cash, that is unaccounted for cash, and also the liquor and other spirits which can influence the voters' opinion also. So freebies, liquor, everything they are to be frisked and seizure activities to be taken up. So if there is an intimidation, then the vulnerability mapping will be there, and the election commission will be reported about that. In the next slide, I have mentioned about the how the reports to be coming from the sector officers through the returning officers, the district election officers, to the chief electoral officer, and ultimately to the Election Commission of India. Election Commission of India takes cognizance of such situations, and remedial measures they are taken, so that there is no fear in the mind of the electorate to come for voting. So that is the quintessential for going before the poll, right? So law and order, vulnerability mapping and security planning are there. In this slide, I have shown one photo where I am also standing along with the district senior superintendent of police and the district magistrate. So this is one thing that Professor Gupta was trying to tell. So during the maintenance of law and order, this is the poll day incident I am narrating here. Much before this poll, we are setting the ground that we are taking actions. We are having arrests, like we are bounding down people. We are seizing the arms, illegal arms, digging of the illegal arms where it is there. If there are licensed arms also, we ask them to surrender, because there should be no fear psychosis in the mind of the electorate and all the stakeholders of election to go for a free and fair poll. If there is no law and order, then there will be no election. There are provisions also so that we can defer the elections. That is in the context of India. So this photo what I am showing here, on the day of poll, we can also monitor the tranquility and peace of the polling stations. This is one of the integrated control rooms being monitored at the level of the district precincts, right? So these things are there, and we are having the enabling provisions in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which is earlier the Indian Penal Code. It has been recently amended as the rechristened as the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023. We are having provisions. Now IT Act also came. The major threat for today's election, as I have presented in the next 2-3 slides, in the comparison also, that cyber threat, misinformation, disinformation, these also actually affect the tranquility of the electorate. Suppose there is a misinformation, people will be panicked. One day a news will come that your entire electoral roll is hacked by the hackers. That today in the morning session we are listening about the 40 apps they have been integrated at the IICDEM. So just imagine, next day you are going to the poll and now the electoral roll is hacked. So there will be pandemonium. There will be no trust among the electorate. So that's why this, this is the case study, the comparative case study. I will skip because of the paucity of time. I have taken the example of Armenia and Poland where I had been to, and India. Indian context we all know. So every country, maybe ASEAN, maybe Scandinavian or Schengen countries, all are worried about is this cyber threats. So in Poland they are having the election umbrella program also. In 2025 they are looking at. They are also looking at the challenges of the borders. If the neighbors are creating problem. So like the disinformation part they are also taking care of. So these things need to be tackled, right? And what as I was telling about the case studies, this is one case study I have represented from Odisha. There is a comparison. We usually have the elections in India every 5 years. So our general election 2014, 2019 and 2024. So in Odisha, fortunately, we are having the simultaneous general election. Simultaneous means that we are having the MP and MLA together going for the polls. The same two elections during the same time. There are other 4 states in the country also. So what I want to show here, just you may see in 2014, there are 50 to 52 repolls due to violence. Now because of the rigorous planning, advanced planning and the training of the officials also, it was brought down to 2019, just 9 cases in 2019 and recently it is 2. We are having 40,000 polling stations in the state of Odisha, sir. So 2 is almost 0, can be taken up as almost 0. Similarly, in case of Bastar Lok Sabha elections, that is the that is LW affected parliamentary constituency of the state of Chhattisgarh. You may just appreciate in 2014 there are 40 incidents reported for violence. In 2019 it was 18, 2024 it was just 2. And you just see the graph, that is the blue line above, how the voter turnout has increased. So what I want to impress here, that the peace and tranquility and the maintenance of law and order is a direct bearing on the voter turnout also. So challenges and future outlook, that is emerging threats. I have told it has already been deliberated time and again, deep fakes, misinformation, outsider mobilization. This is one of the major threats. My dear friends, it is not only for the electorate, it is for every constituency that we can have the challenges. So the outsider mobilization and trying to create such type of law and order situation, this should be caught very strongly as it was there. I have tagged in the previous slide what he was trying to tell, Professor Gupta. We just called our CAPF, Central Armed Police Force, as the shield of democracy. So Indian elections are divided into different phases. In the last election we are having 7-phase election because for elections we mobilize our Central Armed Police Forces to guard the EVMs because there may not be trust on the local police of the state, that impartiality must not be there. So we mix up the police and Central Armed Police Forces to have the electoral trust who guard the EVMs, right? So this is the thing. And I should not dwell much on that. There is a small comparison of the three countries of Armenia, Poland and India. These are the primary focuses. Now we are also delving upon the cyber security. But for us, India, the physical security deployment is one of the challenges. For Poland, it is the foreign influence mitigation. And dear friends, I want to show in the last two slides, one relating to my leader, CEO Uttar Pradesh. You can see this is the Kumbh Mela, that is where in Prayagraj. It is estimated that 500 to 600 million footfalls are there in a single program. And thanks to the UP administration, they are managing their law and order. And this second slide relates to my state, that is Odisha, where every year our deity, Lord Jagannath, comes out for a darshan of the common man. So it is there around 25 million footfalls this year, say 12 to 15 million footfalls here. So we have to manage, the same administration manages and maintains the law and order. And these are only two incidents. And just think of the entire general election where such type of kumbh also occurs in the honor of democracy. So with this I conclude, and with this final statement, that law and order is not just about force but about building stakeholders' trust. Without the stakeholders' trust, the transition of power will not happen. We have seen in the countries I don't want to name. In India, we are blessed that our transition of power is hassle-free. In my state, a party ruled for last 24 years. Now it switched to another party without a single bloodshed, without any confusion. The transition of power is there, and that is the beauty of democracy. Friends, let us keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kar, for your presentation. Now I would like to invite the last panelist, Mr. Avinash Singh, who is an advocate. He is the panel counsel of Election Commission of India and also representing CEO Uttar Pradesh in cases in High Courts and Supreme Court. So I request him to make his presentation.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to address you at this gathering. I'm giving you a very small constitutional perspective of how elections work in India, and basically how the Election Commission of India ensures that there is no interference by the union or state governments during the conduct of elections. So first, before I go to the main topic, I'll first introduce you a little to Indian federalism, which is unlike the form of federalism that you would see in anywhere in the world. So there are clear division of powers which are enshrined in our constitution between articles 245 to 248, and they are in the form of lists. So there are three lists which are appended to the constitution. In list 1, list 2 and list 3. List 1 is the state list, list 1 is the union list, list 2 is the state list, and list 3 is the concurrent list, in which concurrent list is where both the state and the union would have concurrent jurisdiction over the matter. So one of the other facets of federalism obviously is the system of checks and balances, and we do not follow a system of comprehensive checks and balances. Rather, it is a system of checks and balances where everybody is performing some sort of feature which is not strictly prohibited for them. So like I'd say, like the legislature makes laws and it checks the executive. However, we also follow a system of a political executive. That is, the head of the legislature, the people who are elected are also the ministers. And under them, the executive also works, and they also handle ministries. Then the executive, while implementing laws, also deals with subordinate legislation and makes rules for the effective implementation of those laws. And the judiciary upholds the constitution, and it ensures compliance of rights by the executive, and it also keeps a check on the fact whether or not the laws which are made are in tandem with the constitution or not. And the election commission, it ensures free and fair elections. So uh, according to the list that I just told you about, the state police, law and order is a subject in the state list. The armed forces are a subject in the union list. However, during elections, once the model code of conduct is declared, under Article 324 of the Constitution of India, the Election Commission can request the President and the Governor, who are the respective head of state of the Union and the state, to requisition the police forces and the armed forces. And then they start functioning not as armed force of the state or not as as the state police, but they actually start functioning as employees, or rather under the direct control and supervision of the Election Commission of India. So how does the Election Commission exercise this control? So the Article 324 of Constitution of India, it vests the superintendence, direction and control of elections. There is a single constitutional source of election control which ensures that there is independence of electoral process from executive governments. So what could happen was, how would a ruling state try to influence an election? They would obviously use their mechanisms that are in place, they would use their officers which are in place, but what the Indian constitutional framework does is, it takes away that control from the state government, it takes away the control from the union government, and it hands it over to the Election Commission of India, which is a fair and constitutional body which functions outside the state government as well as the union government. It is the most important factor. We always have an option to play with grey areas. What the Indian system does it does not leave any room for grey areas. We have the Constitution which provides for the Election Commission of India in Article 324 to 329. Then there is the Representation of People's Act 1950 and 1951, which provides for what is to be done and what is not to be done by the electoral agents, as well as the Representation of People's Act is actually a self-contained code. It provides for duties, it provides for responsibilities, it provides for offences, it provides for trial, it provides for election petitions, it provides for everything. It is a self-contained code. And then under that are the conduct of election rules, which empowers which sets out specifically what is to be done to ensure a free and fair election. And under that, then, there is a lot of documentation which is made in exercise of those powers conferred by the RP Act and the conduct of election rules, which are called handbooks. And these comprehensive handbooks, handbook for a returning officer, handbook for political agents, these are issued in advance to ensure that everybody knows what is their duty. And with every duty comes a responsibility, and that responsibility is also provided for. And for the purpose of accountability, there are penal provisions which are enshrined in the Representation of People Act in the nature of electoral offences. Section 28A is one of the most important sections of the Representation of People's Act, which says that election officials are deemed to be on deputation to the Election Commission of India. So while you may be a person who is a district magistrate, but for the time, while you are exercising your role as the district election officer, you will be on deputation to the Election Commission of India. That is, that you are an employee of the Election Commission of India. It exercises control over you, it exercises discipline over you, and can also initiate disciplinary proceedings over you. It is very important to mention that this provision ensures enforceability and neutrality on the ground. Now, what is the practical effect of the control of the Election Commission? Election officials are under the functional control of ECI. The control is election specific and purpose driven. It is not that this control is haywire and it provides for ample control irrespective. Now, one of the examples of this control is, as a person who also represents the Election Commission of India before courts, one of the things that we have to deal with is that during the Election Commission, when the Model Code of Conduct is into play, there is actually a screening committee which is there. Whenever any official has to be transferred, then it is only with the approval of the screening committee that an official can be transferred during the conduct of the election. It comprises of people from the Election Commission of India as well as from the state government, and only after their approval can a person be transferred from place A to place B, which is another mode of ensuring that, let's say there is a complaint of a particular official, because the only way that a state or a union can do anything with regards to ensuring that there is no impartiality as an election can only be by means of influencing a particular official. But even to curb that, even that level of strength and imagination and legislative control has already been provided by means of the statutory framework. The ECI regulates the deployment of forces, transfers for election duty, and election related discipline. So in conclusion, Article 324 provides for a constitutional authority to the Election Commission of India to ensure free and fair elections. The Representation of People's Act operationalizes this authority during elections. Control over state and central machinery does not dilute federalism, but it actually protects free and fair elections. Election Commission functions as a neutral constitutional guardian of democracy. This is how our legal framework and our constitutional framework ensures free and fair elections for the largest democracy in the world. And with that, I take your leave and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singh, for your presentation. And now we have had presentation from all the panelists, and the house is open for everyone to make any comment or some interjection, or if there is any questions, there are any questions in regard to the presentations made, you are welcome. Akhand, would you like to make any comment or add to what has been already been said?
I have a question to both our Indian friends and our Armenian friends. The question is that today we are seeing the social media is playing as a very key tool to wipe out democracy. If you see, and there's nothing very new, it's going on from the time of Syria, Yemen, started from there, and it's now continuing with Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and all. It's also been used in India in recent times, what we can get it from. So I know, because I'm related with Election Commission, I know India is using some tools, and India is trying to oppose that, to set aside that. But how our counterpart Armenian Election Commission is trying to introduce some system to tackle this kind of situation where social medias have been used as a tool to challenge the democracy and to challenge the election bodies of countries.
I think since the question is addressed to the, before our guest
Yes.
say something, I would like to say something about the topic. You rightly mentioned that it is one of the most important or difficult challenge and also the emerging challenge. For example, in case of last parliament elections in 2024 in Uttar Pradesh, we had a video posted on X with the comments, "See, secretly the ruling party is moving the electronic voting machines from the store." So this was the video, and there was some video playing with someone moving the machines. So we immediately zeroed in on which district from the, we sent the video or the X to all the district election officials, and immediately one district official said, "This particular person is a tehsildar and this video is 3 years old." So within 15 minutes we could quote the post, counter it with facts, and then we registered an FIR, first against the person who made that false allegation. Second thing, we sent a notice to the X and giving the detail of the copy of the first information report, mentioning the IT, particular section of the IT Act provisions, and we had a nodal officer of the state government. Only a nodal officer can write to the digital intermediary. They won't accept letters from all and sundry. They won't accept removal of a post unless an offense has been made out, unless your legal provisions support this. And within a day we were able to not only get the post removed, we were able to get that handle, and that had a salutary effect. This happened in the beginning. So after that, so this time also, based on that experience, what we have done is we have X handles of all the electoral registration offices, all the 403 electoral registration offices. We have asked them to make it gray handle so that nobody can easily portray like similar handles and they can create confusion. So one thing we have taken care is that all the handles should be gray ticked so that nobody can make similar handle. And the training is to not let a false narrative move around freely for more than say an hour or half an hour. For example, in case of electoral rolls also, every day we are countering the false narrative allegations. So from Indian perspective, what I believe is that you have to fight fire with fire. So you have to use the same tools intelligently to discredit the one who is trying to discredit your system. And once you do that to a particular party which is trying to do it, next time they will be doubly careful, and you have to be quick. So one thing you have to do is that your social media monitoring team is to be on the job 24 hours. So my team, for example, they immediately send me the critical false things, and the next step is that I ask my officials to get the facts quickly, and we try to do it. So that is the way in Uttar Pradesh what we are doing. And now I would request our Armenian friends if they have any other strategy they would like to share with us.
Thank you for the question. We have two sides to look at this problem. Like in Armenia, we have Service of Audit and Oversight, which works parallel with the Central Electoral Commission, and they oversee the social media about financial expenditures. This is another thing we do. And as I understand, your question was about misinformation or disinformation, malinformation. About that, we have a quick reaction group which works on, especially on voting day. We collect information, try to fact check, and try to react to those kind of information, given the real one, given the checked information. And we work closely with the mass media, be the hero that can fight against the world, because even the whole world do not have any legal framework for this kind of bad or misinformation. That's much. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Krishnaji.
Thank you for the presentations. So I'm actually just coming from another session, so I think I'm mixing the two. Since this one is maintaining law and order, and maintaining law and order is about managing risks and the consequences of risks. So over a period of time, the nature of risks have evolved. We were talking about social media, AI, but there's also natural disasters that are affecting elections. So how do you think maintaining law and order will evolve or will evolve over a period of time?
I think one thing is that with use of AI, so now you have to be good in technology. Unless you are well versed, all your officials who are looking after the election related work, they have to be well versed, and you have to be always at the frontier. So unless we do that, with new technology coming, things move very fast. And what we have seen as one of the panelists mentioned about some countries, the upheavals which have happened in our neighborhood. Uh, Social media has a major role to play. In one country, uh, banning of the social media led to Gen Z protests and then changing of the government. In another country also, things like that happen. So the challenge is that you anyone can easily start some false narrative which can take momentum on its own, and you have to check it quickly. So all your you need to have a very good training on social media, on AI, and then you can use those tools to counter challenges which also come from those kinds of technologies. And I think that in coming future, that would be a more important point of the training that we impart to all our officials. And I think IIIDEM should take a lead in that area, because now the earlier training programs we had, election laws, constitutional provisions, rules, manuals, electoral manuals, things like that. But this is the area where we need to focus from now on, because that would be more challenging, more critical to ensuring people's confidence in the integrity of the election commission, in the institutions, the processes. And I think this conference has given us a platform, and to at least collaborate with the different countries and have their experiences, how they are doing, how they are fighting this menace, what innovations they are doing. As far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, this is our take on that, and any of the other panelists may like to add to it.
Also add one thing, sir? And actually, in today's time, under the new education policy 2020, it is not only the election commission or the common people, even the educational institutions, they have also been roped in. What we call it as dance of democracy. Today, such important, awareness raising campaigns are being organized within the universities as well as the colleges. Special, stalls are being set up by the election commission, and where their officials or their workers, they are coming to the universities. They are, organizing programs or lectures like that, so that the common students, who are just, acquiring the voting age, they are also getting, educated. They are getting aware of the latest information, and cumulatively, there is a general rise in the awareness. Today's students, they are very judgmental. They can understand what is right and what is wrong. So as a result of, so many issues, again we must have seen, there are media conclaves. There is a conclave every year by Times of India, by Dainik Jagran, by all the leading new print media houses. So as a result, there is a lot of credibility, there is a lot of trust among the people insofar as the elections are concerned. People are very much aware that, technology, works both ways. It can be good, the judgment is being made by the students, by the new age comers, and that's why Gen Z, that factor is not working in India as it has worked in Nepal or Sri Lanka. That kind of impact you won't see in India, because our awareness raising programs, the credibility of the government has been very strong. As sir very rightly pointed out, that the government in Uttar Pradesh, that is so responsible on the law and order front, that it's not very easy, that you commit a crime and you go scot-free. The law enforcing agencies, they are doing round the clock, very good work. And as a result, we see a larger turnout of voters, day by day, and there is an increase, cleanliness in the government. Thank you.
I'll just like to add on two very small points. First, I believe that to counter misinformation, the only solution for misinformation is more information. Right? The more aware you try to make people, the more they'll be able to understand, and they'll be able to logically fathom out what is right and wrong. The second aspect is that one thing that we really need to work on now as responsible people who understand the process of elections is to ensure that the practices of election actually reaches the general public. Our election paradigm is not very complex, But the only problem is that it has not reached the core population that this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're not supposed to do. In this time, we need to use social media to our advantage. We need to use AI to our advantage. It's very, you see posts from political outlets. They make 4 slides, 5 slides, and they post it on their official handles. There is something very similar we can do to actually propagate actual good information and propagate that goodwill towards the election bodies as well as to the process of election. Once we're able to do that, we'll be very easily able to feel that connect with the new generation that is coming in, and we'll be able to get rid of that disinformation.
Mr. Singh, I would just like to add on what you have said, that he mentioned that one thing that we have to give more information. I think also we have had the similar experience in Uttar Pradesh. In fact, SIR is going on, special intensive revision. So when we published the draft voter list, so we had a press conference and we gave as much information as they wanted. And the result was that the press now also doesn't feel that there is some weight in the allegations that normally political parties make, because of the open nature, because of the transparency. The only thing is that you have to be very careful about the data, because even one slight mismatch in the data generates a new controversy. So if you have to be transparent, then you have to be very confident about, what kind of mismatch. Somebody will point it out. These numbers are not adding up. For example, normally we give numbers for the state. Okay, how many voters were deleted, how many were added. So this time we also gave the details for each district and different columns. Now the challenge was to check whether it is totaling right or not, everything, there is no contradiction. But once we did that, it had a very salutary effect, a very positive effect. So I want to say that the point that you said, we have had experience on that account. And also the another thing is that election commissions or election officials like district election officer, electoral registration officers, they have also to come out with frequently information and relevant, like frequently asked questions. For example, when we have now tried to be more active on X, now general public ask simple questions. Sometimes we feel in the commission and the election officials feel that it is very easy, everyone knows everything, but that is not the case. So we have realized, based on the types of queries that people make on X, that we have to send this information across to the last person, and we have started doing that. Even common people, if the question is of a nature which we feel lakhs of people would have that question in mind, we try to quote it, give it in very simple language. So one thing we have learnt is, don't try to use very official legalese. Like you say, in Hindi, special intensive revision, we say Vishesh Pragad Punirikshan. Nobody would understand. So we'll try to make it SIR, giving some things in English. Some people understand in BLO rather than Agar. Some people understand ERO easily in Hindi also, rather than Nirvachak, Registrik and Adhikari. Things like that make it as easy for a layman to understand. And what are the common misconceptions, we try to anticipate, try to give it in the public domain. So that has a very positive effect, the feedback that we are getting.
And
sir, please allow me to sum up.
One small thing, sir. I'd like to very well congratulate you on that exercise that you have done, sir. And as your counsel at the Lucknow bench after Allahabad High Court, I'd also like to tell that not even one petition has been filed till now against the first round of revisions that we have done. And one misconceived petition was filed before it happened, and that also got dismissed. So a very big congratulations to you on that exercise, sir. Enormous exercise of 15 crore voters that you've done, sir.
So I think now we have come to the end of the session. It's 6 o'clock. So I would like to thank all the panelists for their wonderful presentations, especially our guest from Armenia, Arabic Navayan, advisor to the CEC chairman, and our ambassador from Armenia is here. So thank you, gentlemen, for your attention. And Uttar Pradesh would be handling this theme, and in coming months we would come up with a report which Election Commission of India would publish, and my able team, my additional CEO is here, Akhand Pratap Singh, my deputy CEO Amit Singh is here. So we hope that with Armenia also as a partner country, and we can interact with other election management bodies which are interested in this topic, so that we look at this subject in different contexts, in different countries, and also see what initiatives, good practices people have come up to tackle this subject, and to get that in the report for everyone else to benefit from. And we have had a very productive session, and we try to keep it within the time limits. I hope we have been able to achieve that. We have overshot only by 10 minutes. So I again thank all the panelists and Lochna ji for arranging this session for us, and all the guests who have come to attend this session. Thank you very much.